it out before.
I just shut mine down and restarted it. So
you're the man. But yeah, so that's what they do. They hit you with everything, and all of it's bots and shit doing it. They don't really have people going out, and they do have a level where people go out and like the big stuff, and a lot of times they'll flag it, but they're not really paying attention to what's going on. They won't flag certain things, but then they'll flag shit like this. Right?
dude, my when I did that, and granted, I guess I don't know, there were 31 people watching or something, but when I did that special on Saturday morning cartoons, the cocktail, I got flagged for using opening cartoon footage for the opening of the show. And I was like, you're worried about my 31 people who want to see the like openings of cartoons from the 80s. You're worried about that. Okay, good job.
I'll tell you, you and your brother are continually flagged.
Oh,
but
yeah,
after the show, always.
Yeah.
But it's
always.
I
shouldn't be now. I changed.
Well, it was only blocked in certain regions, so you weren't. You were fine, but like I just want to make sure we don't get those hits, because you get too many hits, you can get. I don't want to lose all my shit.
I think we need a banner.
Fucking who made a banner?
I feel like we need one.
Oh, okay. I can find one. Snobs merch. Oh no, is that Snobs merch? Did you see the new shirt?
I did. Put it up. It's nice.
Oh,
I retweeted it. Or what do they call it on Instagram when you repost something? Whatever it is.
I'm gonna say that. Relax, YouTube. This is my store. Well, whose merch is that?
Not reflect the rest of YouTube.
This is. I swear to God, this isn't a commercial for whoever's watching. Oh, I like the Leia thing I did. What do you think of that?
I dig it. Did it come from something?
No, I just thought about it.
Oh, it's nice.
Well, my friend Rachel and my friend Rachel inspired it, but I made it.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of so it looks like that. I don't know. I like that version of Leia too, because I love fucking don't pander, represent. Yeah, the Godzilla. Yeah, I love this.
I think that's been a good go. I've only been able to tune into like 2 of them so far.
Thanks,
that's been a good go. Well, here's the thing: is like I don't know a lot about Godzilla, and like I feel like I talked about at the beginning of my show, like to a certain extent, I feel like my nerd card should be like pulled. Because like I don't know. Like you guys know. Tim knows more about Star Trek than I do. I don't like.
Yeah, but that's not to say you can't be a fan, and that's not your nerd. Your nerd is like the making drinks. Your nerd is video games. Your nerd, your nerd is horror movies. That's where I think everybody gets hung up with the nerd talk, is like, and we need to come together as a community. It's like we can all appreciate each other's nerds. I'm not a huge video game guy, but I love the watching them. I love seeing what's going on and talking about them. But I just, like, for my reason, I can't. I just can't like go all in on it. So everybody has their nerd. Sports is your nerd.
I have seen every episode of Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. I actually have. I've seen every episode.
I think you would love the original series.
I've seen a couple. I mean, like, it's hard. Mick, the hard part for me is like, controversial. I don't like Shatner. I get
that.
And I love Nimoy. I don't get how you make that show. You have these 2 former cowboys, right? And Shatner and Nimoy. And the person that you promote is Shatner. Like, you know what I loved the new, like, not the third one, but the first 2 movies they did, because they really did promote Spock to a certain extent as like a pseudo protagonist of the movies, rather than Kirk.
They had to, because he was just as big of a star.
Yeah, and like I liked that. And that's not to say anything. Like, Chris Pine is a phenomenal actor, but I don't know, man. I feel like. So in the span of a month, think about this. I've been like, I probably don't need to watch Star Wars ever again. And I've also said that I'm not very knowledgeable about Star Trek.
But that's our geek. And like, I love that you come along for the ride and make the drink for it and everything. But it's okay. That's
I
perfectly
like that.
fine.
I liked. So I tuned in when Sturdy did Con, because that's Con. Con. I know I do. I love that movie. I've seen it a billion times. I have it on 4K. Like, but Con, I think is like. Wouldn't you say it's the most easily digestible of all Star Trek movies?
No.
No, I did. Like, to be fair, like I love. I think Ricardo Montalban is legitimately a top actor, right? And then you have all of these other performances to a certain extent that allows you to not pay attention to how bad Shatner is at like acting, and like it's just a great film, right? The script is great. It's almost Shakespearean in how it's executed. All of this stuff. It's almost a tragedy. I mean, the movie is pseudo tragic, and like it's a great movie. What would you say is the most easily digestible?
I would say that's one of the most, but First Contact, I would put just as much easily digestible. First Contact is a phenomenal film.
It is. It even has isn't the Millennium Falcon in that attack scene on the board?
Yes. Yeah, there's a painted Millennium Falcon in it. That's really funny to bring that up. That's a good one.
That was the first widescreen VHS I ever bought.
You want to hear a really funny, just to cut it out real quick, I want to come back to it though. There's a really cool Easter egg on the Basilica in DC of a gargoyle, but it's Luke Vader's head.
Oh, cool.
So if you're ever in DC, go to Basilica. It was part of a contest.
Cool. The only time I've been to DC is for business. So I've never gotten to like do a whole lot.
Well, you have to come out. I'll take you.
When I went there, I mean, it was this last summer. It was the first time. We never took one of those trips.
I know.
I was busy, dude. I was trying to get people to like give me money. Well, not me, but the organization I was working for.
Oh man, no, that was funny. I'm glad you liked it though. How'd you like it out there? I like the National Harbor.
It's hot. I don't like how hot. It's a swamp. I mean, nobody talks about this. DC was a swamp. I mean, like the fact that we put our capital there, I think is slightly embarrassing. Should have kept it in Philadelphia.
You can blame fucking what's his name for that? What's his nuts?
Washington. Well, that was his like kind of.
He had to give it.
Attaboy to the South. They didn't want it in Philadelphia because it was too far north. Like that was like a compromise with Jefferson and the rest of those Southerners. Like we got to put the halfway point now. They put it in Philadelphia, and they should have just like shed on the South from the start.
You know what fucks with me about like Revolutionary War time and the war being fought is, DC a prominent, especially in the Civil War, all pre-car and stuff like that. But I travel to DC. I'm about 2 hours outside of DC. I would say I'm probably 40 miles away from DC, but it's about 2 hours.
That's how long it takes to get everywhere there.
I know, it's fucking crazy. I live out more west towards the mountains, but it fucks me up to think like it takes me 2 hours in a car that can go fast. How did they fight these fucking wars on carriages and horses and shit? Yeah, well, we gotta go down to fucking Jersey. Like that's not an easy feat, motherfucker.
Well, and I mean, don't forget to a certain extent, like these soldiers in a day would cover, 20 miles. Like an army would cover. You think about the logistics of that, and like it's crazy.
That's fucking crazy, man. 20 miles a day. I was a mail carrier when I was 21, and so I did 10 miles a day. I had a dog route too, so like it's all flat land, but it was all gates, so you had to fucking go in and out. Fuck, I did 10 miles a day, and that felt like enough, for a 20-year-old. I was like, that's good. You tell me I gotta fucking march my happy and then maybe fight?
Oh yeah, don't forget. Sometimes when you showed up, your first thing was to be marching for formation, and then you might charge. I mean, like,
fuck. No wonder we won this fucking thing. No, actually, it's not because we lived here.
well, I mean, don't forget there was roughly a 10-to-1 population ratio in terms of the North. The South was never going to win. Like that they were pleading with Europe to intervene because they knew that logistically they just didn't have, and it was only a matter of time. And like, it's so funny because in the 90s, and you went to high school in the 90s, it was like the South were these like stalwarts. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. They were traitors. A, B, they never stood a chance in hell. Everybody's like, they had better generals. So you want to know what wins wars? Numbers and logistics and money. That's what wins it. Like, you want to know what won the Cold War? Money. You want to know what won World War II? Money. Like it that's what win wars. And like it's so funny that what we were taught. And I told you this before when we were doing a stream. Like, history books that we were taught from were written in like Texas, and so they often like romanticize
White people are
this idea.
good, black people are bad. That's what they say.
Well, to a certain extent, like, it was just this projection that they were somehow honorable, where the North was ham-fisted and just not wrong, but like not well run. The difference is this: like, the armies that were representing the Union were much bigger and required a lot more logistics. The armies that the South started with, especially in 1861 and 1862, were smaller and more easily kind of maneuvered. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, sometimes like these generals in the North messed up, but it's because they were huge. It's like the largest number of people since like the Roman army marching around the eastern portion of the United States. And like, I don't know, man. I think that like.
Oh, I was going to ask, what do you, so with that, like, I've always read that George Washington wasn't as the winningest general. He had some big wins and that put him forth, made him famous, but he was losing a lot. He lost Manhattan, so much of that. Do you think that that's one of the causes that was causing those losses?
To a certain extent, what Washington was facing was guerrilla warfare. I know people don't talk about this, but our founding fathers were terrorists. So they had to, I mean, they were attacking the established government and saying, you're not our government. I mean, how else do you define that, right? And like, so you have to fight this guerrilla-esque warfare and do a fight and run technique. And like, you don't get to win battles when you're outnumbered. Yeah. So it's attrition will get you eventually. And had it not been for certain elements of what took place in Europe, especially with Napoleon and the rise of the French, we would have never successfully defended ourselves against the British, so to speak. So, and also don't forget the intervention of the Prussians, because they wanted to destabilize the situation in Europe. So we had a large influx of Prussian soldiers that came here to the United States and helped Washington turn what was essentially freedom fighters into an actual army. And so people examine that time period historically, and they don't accurately represent what was going on. And what you really have are just like guerrillas, No. And they should be heralded for their guts and their glory, but their strategies were never. And granted, George Washington could have like burned down half the United States, but because he essentially removed British rule from the U.S. as the head of the army, he was going to be president. I mean, like, that's it.
Well, thank God he didn't do that.
Hey, they took my family's land. We were in South Carolina. We sided with the crown. My dad's side of the family.
Big mistake.
Oh, dude, it dates back. So it dates back to the 16th century. We were on the losing side in the English Civil War, and they send us here to the U.S. and we established ourselves in the southern portion of the United States. We made boats for the British during the Revolutionary War. And then fast forward to 1859, at this point, we are loggers in Michigan, and we vacate all of our land to move to the South and try to fight on behalf of the Confederates.
Oh shit!
Both wars, my family in the 18th and 19th century, both wars, my family was like, you know what we want to do? Fight for the losing side. So we went from being like kind of royalty in England. We were lords, and we had worked our way up. I mean, we were Irish, but we had worked our way up to being, by the 20th century, lumberjacks. We ended up being lumberjacks, and it did like within the span of about 400 years. It was a nice little project I did in high school.
Dude.
You can't make that shit up, man. Like
no.
The opposite. The Gowl side of my family is like the opposite of the American dream.
So my side of the family has historically fought against your side of the family.
But the funny part is, like, so my mom's side of the family didn't even get to the U.S. till the 20th century. My mom's side of the family came through Ellis Island in 1912. Nice. Everybody thought they were Polish based upon where they were, but after Tim and I did our 23andMe stuff, his Polish side came out from his dad, who, I mean, their family is Wojtasek. Like, I can't even make up that spelling. I can't, like, Wojo, Wojo, somehow ends up being Wojtasek. Like, Polish as hell, right? So yeah, everybody thought we were Kalinowski, which is Polish, but actually we were Kalinski, which is a pseudo-German name. And it just so happened that we were German, but on the Polish side of Germany. And so when I did my 23andMe, like, very little Polish in my blood. Like,
how do they get to Gowl and Forbes?
So Forbes was Tim's dad. His his dad was a Forbes.
Okay.
Tim's grandma was Wojtasek. That was her family name.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm not. Tim would have to tell you Forbes I don't remember, but for me it was Gowl, which was really Gower, Gower, which is Irish, and then Collins, which people thought was Kalinowski. But after looking into the Ellis Island documents and figured out, and then doing 23andMe, it was Kalinski and German.
Oh shit! You want to hear something crazy?
Always.
So Kimball, my last name. I don't know if that's really my real last name. So my grandfather's father, he was a piece of shit. You know, he kind of in and out of their lives, you know,
yep,
all the time. But back in the day, was a baseball player. He used to catch for Babe Ruth in the barnstorming. That's about all we know, because we think he ran away from home and ended up living with a family called Kimball and took their name. So we have no idea, because we cannot find anything past that.
Oh shit!
So like, we go by this name, and it's weird, because, you know, you have this family that puts so much stock in the name. You know, and I'll tell you, I quickly went to Manhattan. So that's that tell you. But they put so much stock in the name, and it might not even be our name.
Kimball, that's English, I think.
It is. Well, we're predominantly. I did my sister did that DNA test, and so the government has mine too now. But she did it, and we are pretty much all Irish, but we have some English, Welsh. It says we have some Norwegian in us, and 5% Jewish. I thought that was cool.
I do have some, like, when you go through the percentages, somewhere along the line, and who knows where, I ended up with 0.5% African American.
Nice, man.
Like, and that's, I mean, you know what that means. That's obviously some, like, slavery or whatever, like, But when I was going through it, I was like, that's
You start asking for reparations.
like like the funniest part was is I thought there'd be more predominant Native American.
Yeah, I did too, actually.
I did. So my great grandmother was half she's from New Mexico and half I can't remember the tribe. But it just didn't show up. And it's from my mom's side, so it's impossible, right? Like that's not like I mean, we've heard this story about my dad before. Like it's from my mom's side, so I have no idea, Mick. I don't know. It
Well,
just
yeah,
didn't. It was 9, or it shouldn't have. It should work out some 9%, and
you want to hear
I thought it'd be 15% based upon what I figured out, and like it just wasn't there.
A friend of mine, when she was pregnant, she decided to give the baby up for adoption. Now, when I say friend, I don't mean a friend of mine and I decided to give up for no, that's not what that was. Decided to give the baby up for adoption, and so she had to look into a lot of things. And one of the big things she had to look into was she had to take a DNA test and everything to make sure that she has no Native American or indigenous blood, because if she does, any percentage, the tribe gets first
Take on it.
chance to adopt. Yeah.
Yep.
So crazy.
Getting up that all day IPA now.
Yeah, you are. Oh shit. Kevin Spacey. Oh,
what about him?
Kevin Spacey's going to some horror film convention.
Yeah, why is he going?
I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want to put anybody on blast on my show. But if anybody wants to go out and look, they can look up Kevin Spacey. But because I work for Carolina Film Fest, and this is one that's on the eastern side, and I don't want to make it like shitty like that.
I'll tell you, Mick, I don't think I can make it this year. I don't think I can make it work. Well, part of it is the fact that like, and I loved going last year. You knew that, like, because it's on Labor Day weekend, it makes it possible for me to go. The other side of it is, I like spending time with my family.
I get it, man. I get it.
Like last year, it was such a big deal that I didn't go. I mean, I showed you while we were there the pictures and stuff. Like, I didn't go to the lake house. I didn't sit on the dock with the family. We didn't go out on the pontoon. And like, what do you think about that stuff as far as like, I don't know. So we have the football draft for my big fantasy football league usually on or that would be Labor Day, not Memorial. So Memorial weekend is I always get the two mixed up. So we have it on Labor Day, or not Labor Day weekend. It's that Friday and Saturday. Excuse me. We usually do our two drafts. And what do you think about that as somebody who's a family man? All right.
I never. You know what? I don't mind it. Memorial Day was never. I mean, of course, we held it in high regard.
Yep.
For what it is, but it wasn't like this. Like, yeah, and people are always doing barbecues. I'm not going to say I never went to one, but it was never felt like one we were really big in the 4th of July.
Okay.
So like that was like a big one for us. So like I don't think like like yes, you celebrate Memorial Day. A lot of people do bar. So like for me going to the convention, I love it. That's my time away, and the kids, they go with their grandparents usually, but now they want to start coming to the convention. So it's like, of course,
old enough. Yeah. The lead snob, it's starting to get old enough.
Yeah. They can help out and actually help build stuff out at the booth. But yeah, that's so for me, I get it. I mean, and I completely get it. And I understand that. And I know you're never going to offend me. Because that doesn't have to be the place we get together one day and hang out. What I mean? But you will be missed. I'm gonna laugh when Sturdy finds out, but he's like, I'm going.
Well, I know Sturdy's going, and that's what makes me feel like bad is like it was nice to meet, especially Radar last year. He and I had beers out at that brewery, and like it was such a blast. But last year I just had the time, and like I don't know, I want to go. I didn't like it's in my mind, but like the other part is like because it's Memorial Weekend, you know, and
Yeah.
like I don't know, so I'm kind of torn.
Well, I listen, man. We
If I
will
could,
live.
the deciding factor would be if I could get my mom, and I tried last year because she lives in Tennessee,
Mhm.
and if I could get my mom to go and I could double dip and I could also see my mom at the same time, that'd be. But so this summer I'm gonna have to take. It's basically like last summer I didn't go see my mom. Summer before Tim and I went to go see my mom. Last summer I didn't do it. Um, if I could get my mom to go to it, it'd be different because then I could be like, okay, I'm going to see my mom, going to see Craig, her husband, and maybe Tim would come then. Like,
Yes.
that's that's the difference. Is like if I could get her to go, then I could do like all in one fell swoop, But
I
I don't know.
listen,
Like
bro, I don't I would never want to pressure anybody because I understand and like you truly I would love to have you there. I would love you and everybody. Bring the whole clan. That would be amazing. And come hang
oh,
out.
you never get MasterShake there. She loved it. Her she looks forward to so much to just sitting on the back of the pontoon and like
I don't
napping.
blame her. I don't. If she ever wanted to come, I know Mary would love to meet her. But like I said, that doesn't have to be that. That doesn't have to be CFF. But I mean, I hear Michigan's really nice during the summer. But I'm just saying.
Oh, that's Michigan's really nice year round. I you know that. I
I
will
heard
always.
somewhere around Lansing. So who knows? Maybe I'll have
I
to
would.
take a look.
You guys came up. Oh God, no. We'd go to Grand Rapids. See, you guys would hang out in Grand Rapids. See Tim. Lansing. I mean, I like Lansing's fine. But Grand Rapids or Detroit or Traverse City. Those are the three places I like to go. We would go hang out at Tim's. Tim also has a bigger house. His house is like twice the size of mine. So
You ever see I think it was more predominant in American Wedding.
I love that movie.
What town is that? Because I remember when they were
Grand
traveling
Rapids.
around.
That is, so all
That's
three of
Grand
those movies.
Rapids?
Yeah,
I
all three of those
saw
movies
that in
take
that
place.
movie and I was like, I want to move there.
So in 2,
And Tim
they
did.
go out to basically what would be like a Grand Haven, so Grand Haven is about 30 miles west of Grand Rapids. But so Yesterdog, where they go eat those hot dogs in the first one and the second one, if I remember right. Yesterdog is a famous place in Grand Rapids that has a secret menu and all this stuff. They have it like you can. I don't know if this is still code there because it's kind of like non-PC, but you'd want to get a dog slut style, and that means you get a bun, but you have 3 hot dogs in it, so it's slut style. Like
I used to eat fat bitches like they were going out of style. You ever have a good fat sandwich?
oh, dude, you know what I miss? Fat Burger, dude. I've only been to LA twice. I tell people about everybody's like In-N-Out. I want Fat Burger. That's what I want. Fat Burger
I don't.
can't be.
If it doesn't exist anymore, I will cry because literally I would take a bite out of this burger and I'd have an orgasm in my mouth. Legit, it was the greatest. It was lucky. First off, it started as Lucky's Tavern, Lucky's pub house, and then it was like Lucky's Tavern later, and it was in the same spot. Everything. It was just this bar on Hollywood Boulevard. You would they're not even famous for the fucking burgers. But they have so many when you walk in there, and it's fucking amazing. Oh, I miss it. Oh my god, I'm about to cry.
Did you ever wander into Koreatown?
Oh yeah.
So that's where my friend lived, and both times I went there, I stayed with him. One time it was for 2. First time it was for 2 weeks. I also saw BC Boys at the Hollywood Bowl, which is great. I mean, that's such a great venue. I saw two rows in front of me. Tobey Maguire was smoking weed. And I was like, it was like during the Spider-Man days. I was like, what is going on? But in Koreatown, there is a bar called the Brass Monkey. Speaking of Beastie Boys,
nice.
And if you guys live in LA, you have to check out Brass Monkey in Koreatown if it's still there. Great service, great bar. But there's a picture of me on the wall, or was. There was a picture of me on the wall. So as it was, I ran up a tab while I was there. My tab was $280. And when they brought it to the table, I was so hammered, I told the waitress she wasn't cute enough to charge me that much. I was so hammered. But they had a picture,
Wow.
and I had.
That's the biggest piece of shit move.
I was so hammered. It was so embarrassing, right? I had 2 Coronas. So in the picture, and whoever took the picture, and this is the 2000s, so this isn't like modern cameras that have that high resolution, but it was a great picture. Whoever took the picture, kudos to them. You could see the like Corona, and I had them both like this, 2 Coronas, drinking them at the same time, and it was like a perfect shot. And it was both going like it is at the same time. And they put it on the wall. And the second time I visited there, when I helped Adam move home, it was on the wall, the brass monkey, and it was so. I was like, "Oh my god, that's me! That's me on the wall!" And Adam's like, "Yeah, that was you that night." It was also the night we got out of the brass monkey. We walked across the street. In Michigan, we call it Hardee's. What is it called in on the West Coast?
Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr. Yeah. So Carl's Jr. The door was closed, and I was angry about it. I was hammered. I just started screaming at why is Carl's Jr.'s closed? Mind you, the drive-thru's open, but whatever. So I'm screaming at Carl's Jr.'s, and it's Koreatown. It's like the stabbing capital of the United States. It's a really dangerous area, and like all these homeless people, we were drawing attention. I was like, "Fucking Carl's Jr.'s," and they all joined in. They were like, "Yeah, fuck Carl's Jr. Carl's Jr. sucks," and we all started yelling at the building. And Adam was like, "Okay, it's time. We gotta go home."
Time to go. You're a maniac.
Dude,
I love it.
22-year-old me, 22, 23-year-old me he was.
You would have been. See, that's why I couldn't hang out, because like I loved being around for everything, but like you would instigate.
Oh, dude.
And then it's like, oh shit, who am I fighting now? Everyone.
I wasn't just a barker though, so don't forget that. I mean, like, because you and I both had friends like this that would just run their mouth, and then you have to show up for them, right? Like, I wasn't that guy, but what I do, another good story. I have a friend who basically is the same size as you. I mean, he's like, we grew up together, and as a kid, he had leukemia, survived. Shit. Great guy. So
did he make it?
Oh yeah. And a kid, like he was 11. After he graduates college, and he was a DNR officer. And in Michigan, DNR officers often aren't year-round. They get 3 months a year off, and they go on like unemployment, basically. So he comes to stay with me while I'm finishing up my last year in college. And while he's there, we try to decide who could drink more. And my friend is 6'7", probably about 360 pounds. And at this point, I'm 5'11", maybe like 210. And our chosen beverage was Jägermeister and Red Bull. But the way he did it, and to this day, I still think this is insane. So instead of doing it as like mostly Red Bull and then a shot of Jägermeister, he would take a shot glass, fill it half full with Red Bull and half full with Jägermeister. So we both get a fifth of Jägermeister. We both get a 6-pack of Red Bull. And in our 20s, you know this wasn't diet. This was like full test Red Bull, right? And so we sat there and we both finished the entire fifth of Jägermeister and was still standing. And I was like, this is not going to end well. There's no way. And so we ended up the next day not being able to move. Like we were both like just pinned. And his room was right around. We shared a bathroom upstairs together. And it was just taking turns going in there and just booting. And like to this day, I always wonder, like, if we had continued going, who would have won that? Because we both just kind of conceded. It wasn't like
I think not worrying about that or thinking about that, that's the wrong move here. That is a magical moment. That's the moment when they pick up the fucking luge or whatever the hell the sled they're on, the bobsled, and carry it down because they're gonna finish the race. You did it. I think that story right there, considering every bit of alcohol you just told me you've taken in,
and you got to know it wasn't just Jaeger, because I mean it's a Friday night, right? Like,
dude, my buddy, my brother's buddy Rob, fucking when they were Marines, fucking Big drinkers. They always call me.
Military drinking is different. Military drinking is
That's
different.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not a connoisseur like you. I drank military. I was like fucking. That's how I grew up. So like that's what you did. We bought Schaefer's just when we would go camping because why the fuck not? You know, because that's what that good old dad drank. So like, me, my brother, and his buddy, and a few other people go out, and his buddy was already. So he won. I'm gonna say he won. He started drinking a little earlier. Started drinking like a fifth. So I don't, you know, and I knew he started drinking that. So I always give him that. Like I have an asterisk on my name for the win. So, but we start drinking. We're going. And we start at like 4 p.m. It's like 11:30 at night. We're sitting there. We're like, I'm like still rocking and rolling around like this, right? He's just like slooped over. I'm both talking to his girl at the same time, and he's like, bloop, bloop. And then finally he goes, and then he just falls over and hits the deck. And I grab his fucking bottle and I go, I win. And I get up on stage, I grab the mic and I start singing Wanted, Dead or Alive, but not to that right music.
It was like completely different.
Well, so whatever the guy I took the microphone from was singing.
Oh my God. I love that.
Oh man, I did that military drinking. That shit's wrong.
No, it goes sideways. Like the two kind of drinking that, and somebody who's done both, two kind of drinking, three. I'm gonna give three: military drinking, bartender drinking, and Southern University drinking.
That's a good one.
And my first experience,
Penn State's on its own level, man.
You count Penn as I'm counting Penn. This was Clemson that I'm gonna reference.
Clemson's fucking legit too.
So I go down there and I'm dating this girl that's going to Clemson, and like we went to high school together, and that's how it kind of ended up like kind of connecting. And I thought I could drink. I mean, I was Michigan, right? Michigan, we drink, you know. And I had grown up like my thing at a party was I had a fifth of Jack Daniels in my left hand, 20 ounce of Coke in my right hand, and I just did this. That was my thing in high school. And I was like, I can drink, whatever. I go down there and I'm thinking I'm going to drink all these people under the table. And I'm probably about like, let's call it 15 beers in. And nobody's slowing down. And I'm looking around. And then they start playing this game called Flip Cup. But Clemson doesn't play it with beer. Clemson plays it with this stuff called PJ. Or maybe in the north you might know it as like different kinds of jungle juice, but their PJ is made with Everclear. And it's essentially Kool-Aid, water, Everclear, and gummy bears. That's what it is. I mean, that's really what it is. And so they have it, you know, and it fills up the bottom of the cup and you got to down it. I was like, I'm good. I'll drink some of this. What do you got? PJ, whatever. Oh man. And I mean, I was 19, 20, something like that. And like, I did. I mean, Caitlin, the girl I'm dating, I just go down and 100% trying to impress her, of course. I mean, she was cute.
Oh, yeah. I get it. Yep. I did too.
And so I'm just trying to keep up with all these people. Clemson, whatever goes on at Southern University is different. What goes on up north, dude? Because we got done with that game, and I was like, I'm done. Like I can't. I'm half a case in more, and I drink this PJ stuff that I think is going to kill me. Like,
oh no, I have to correct. And when I was saying what you said, Southern college drinking, you didn't say Clemson. Like Southern college drinking, yeah, I'll give it to him. But like, and then I said Penn State in response to that. Then you said Clemson. They're a different. They're a different planet with their drinking.
I asked that at Radar when I was out. I was like, what do like.
Arizona State too.
What goes on down here in the Carolina? Like, what's funny though is this is like, so Caitlin was from Michigan. She goes down there and she never really kind of picked up that kind of drinking. So she got to drive me home, of course. And like we go back to like, God, if I remember right, her parents' place at that point because it was Christmas break, and her dad is like. I was sure this was going to happen. A Michigan man coming down here and trying to keep up with the Clemson folks. And I was like, you're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. So I don't know what the hell goes on down there, man. But I have never seen a party school like that.
Nope.
They wanted to start the next morning for the football game at 8 a.m. And I was like, what?
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it because they're fucking beasts there, dude.
How does that even happen?
I will say this. I'm a North drinker. So I started drinking when I was 15, riding my bike up to the bar where my uncle and my aunt would buy me drinks. And, and this isn't, I never challenge anybody to this. So if anybody's watching and they take a challenge when I say this, I lost 100 pounds and I'm 400 pounds. Don't listen to me when and think this is a good thing or a challenge. But my intake of beer was very cheap because every night I drank 45 beers to get buzzed. I'm too fucking big. That's the problem. So I thank God every day I quit drinking. But that destroyed my insides. Because it's not the good shit.
Have you ever heard some of the stories of Andre the Giant?
Yeah. I lived some of them.
Did that ever make you want to like wonder, like, could I do that? I know I couldn't. I'm only 5'11". So like I sometimes though I hear it and like, but so I watched a documentary about Ric Flair. And Ric Flair said he drank every day to being inebriated for like 27 years. And I can't imagine that. I can't even.
Yeah. He did that while Cat Williams read 6,000 books.
Cat Williams read.
That's what he said. He said I read 6,000 books last year.
I probably read about like 100. Like how could somebody read 6,000 books?
I don't know.
Children's books, maybe.
I'll tell you what, though, if I'm going to believe anybody could do it, I believe it's Cat Williams. I shit you not. But
I just wonder, like, could Ric Flair really have? So, who was? I'm trying to remember the guy who was a ringside guy that had the stroke.
Jim Ross.
So Jim Ross told this story about him. They went into a bar, and Jim Ross said he was going in there just to hang out with Ric Flair. And he said within 15 minutes, Ric Flair was buying shots for the entire bar and carrying the tray around the bar. And within 2 hours was standing on top of the bar doing shots with people with the rest of the bar. And Jim Ross said, I just went there to have a beer with a friend. And by the time 2 hours passed, Ric Flair created a party. And
I heard he was always like that.
So I'm curious, like, of course I want to know, could I have kept up with Ric Flair? Of course I want to know that.
If you lived in that world, I believe you could have. Because all those guys did, though, the four horsemen.
If
that's you all lived that life. And I could see, honestly, Dan, not gonna lie, if I had to picture, and it's the weirdest fucking thing, I would in fact make them call you the philosopher, because or the professor or something, because you're super goddamn smart. So when I say this, I could see you being a wrestler in like the 60s or 70s or 80s, early, like in the Southern wrestling in the territories. I could see you living that life. And I'm not a lot of people, you say that, they're like, why? Because he's a brute. No. Dan's one of the smartest fuckers I know. I think he would do it because he wanted to do it.
It's
I think
how Ric Flair explained it in the documentary. And if you guys have a chance out there to watch it, like, check it out. The Ric Flair 30 for 30 is really interesting.
Oh, I did watch that. Yeah. That was very good.
Oh, and it contrasts a little bit with what they portray on the Terror at 30,000 Feet documentary that they did. The Dark Side of the Ring. That was they did not portray him in a very bright light. But to be fair, the documentary was pretty honest. It was like, no, Ric Flair was like a fucking psychopath. But it was interesting to me to listen to him between that and the new documentary they have on Netflix called The Wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
Or Wrestlers. It's either The Wrestlers or Wrestlers. Both of those, like, if you're a wrestling fan out there, and a couple people wrestling comments in there, you know, that's how the Vince McMahon thing. I loved him, and Ohio Valley Wrestling, like I've checked him out a couple times since watching wrestlers, and it's good stuff. I mean, Al Snow is doing good things down there. But go ahead.
I'm really digging what's going on in the wrestling world and how independent wrestling is getting way more shine. And I have to give this credit to podcasters, really, because
is that really leading it forward?
No, well, no, the reason I say that is because I think podcasting and these wrestling fans, they've become the new territory.
Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting take. Yeah.
I actually said to Sturdy recently, I would love to run this by you. I think podcasting, the industry, to get out of the rut that it's in now, is you create a territory system, and all those territories sort of work together.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, so like if you're coming into my space to do this stuff, come check us out, and we'll trade off, you know, so then that way
unionizing. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of, and kind of keeping that going. So in that way, and you can also, by doing that, stomp out, like with the celebrities. Fine, now you got the celebrity shit. Now you got all Spotify shit, stuff like that. This is how we're doing this. This is the net that we're going with. You know, sponsors, things like that. But I don't know. I mean, it'd have to be worked out more. But I felt like that would be a good model if done right, not the way the rest.
So, if you were gonna pinpoint the era that like, the era that you really dig the most in terms of wrestling, what would that be?
Oh, 100%. It's got to be 1973 to 1989.
Interesting. That like the regional era in the late 70s, and then you pair with the rise of the WWF in the 1980s.
Yeah. Yep. Because after that,
it got early weird. 90s WCW. That's like when you see WCW rise as a competitor to WWF, I tuned in like all the time to WCW. And it wasn't like I switched from. I still watch WWF. I mean, I'm a Hulk Hogan stan to this day. That if I'm a Real American comes on, I immediately start popping. You know,
can you just be a stan for that one? He's such a horrible human being.
He's a terrible human. I mean, that's without a doubt. Like I just, as a kid, God, to the point where when it came out, do you remember when that report came out that he got caught with drugs with the Iron Sheik in New York?
Oh yeah.
Okay, it was like 91, right? Like 91, 92.
Yeah.
So 8-year-old me was devastated. I mean, Over the Top, or not Over the Top. What was his first movie?
No Holds Barred.
No Holds Barred, not Over the Top. No Holds Barred. I went to go see it in the theater. Mr. Nanny, all that stuff. Like all his weird movies he made. I watched. I was obsessed, and like then that came out, and I was just devastated.
Could I pause you for just 1 second? We have a breaking news. You stay on your side, Forbes. You keep the basement on your side of the night. This is my side of the night.
You started early at 10:05? Dude, we have 2 hours. What are you doing?
You're taking my people. Well, I mean,
2 hours? I don't know if I can edit. Like, I usually start tuning in the basement at 11. And once in a while, there's music playing, but I just like looking at the little manatees floating around, and I sit on the couch.
My problem is like I'm tired by that time, so I'm laying in bed, so I put it on my phone. And my phone's not always signed in, so I just don't want to type and then tell everybody it's Mick. And so I'm like, and I want to watch the movie. So if I'm on my phone, I'm either looking at the chat or I'm looking at the movie. And Ward's been showing some bangers lately, and I'm like, I don't want to see the chat. I want to watch the movie.
So I usually, I mean, I've shown you my setup, like the 2 38-inch screens. I throw Sturdy up on the right, and then I throw up the basement on the left. And whichever one kind of directs my attention, so to speak, I don't know. I kind of try to float, but sometimes I mean, it's midnight, so by that time, sometimes I'm kind of in the bag, and I'll be like, well, I'm done. I'll leave them up just to get the like views up. I'll go upstairs and go to bed. And they're like, hey, yeah, help. I'm getting old, man. I know, like, I remember when the basement first started. God, and like one of my first times ever just lasting well into the night. Katie and I sitting there watching Gilligan's Island together and shooting the shit. And that was one of my first times ever with like this whole crew, you know, it's like 2020 and we're
So
all
cool,
just
man.
right. Like, and
Oh,
sitting there with Katie just having this like insane conversation. And I was hammered. I mean, I by like 3:30 in the morning, I was hammered. But now, like, I don't know, man. In the past 4 years, like accelerated decrepitude, I guess. I mean, there's a big difference between 36 and 40, maybe. But like midnight rolls around,
there's a big
like,
one.
I'm kind of like, oh man, like it's time for Dan to go to bed.
Dude, fucking Sturdy, first of all, who's at 36. Yeah.
That's it. That's the other part. He's so hardworking right now, and I'm like, dude, in 4 years, woof, I hope so for his sake.
I'd
Like,
argue that I might be right there with him, but he's up
you can't
late.
take credit though. You can't make producers can't take credit. Come on.
That's true. All right, fine. One day. No, so he came to me and talking to me about Sturd-O-Vision, and I'm like, I fucking love it. I was like, my dream has always been, once the channel started and it's and like somehow fucking functioning as making money, I want to create more narrative shows.
Yeah.
And
Great.
I want to do a horror hosting show. And I've always been looking for a horror host. I want to do this thing called Monster Cafe.
Love it.
And it's just like it's the host, and I think Sturdy would be fucking phenomenal at that.
Sturdy, you're 38.
Black don't crack, baby.
I'm not gonna
Black
say it. You can't say it, Nick. You can't say it. It's just you and I.
Why can't I say it? It
I
doesn't.
can't even say it. My wife's black, and I can't say it.
Why is that racist? How is that racist? Saying
I'm always really
people are
about,
beautiful
like,
all through the ages. I'm standing on that. No, that's not racist.
Also, he's sitting there chatting. Sturdy, get your ass in here.
Get your ass in here.
Tim's chatting. Get your ass in here. Sturdy, you're standing. Get your ass in here.
Come fight with us. I'm a prelude to your show because Tim's trying to wrestle us out.
No, okay, thanks, Sturd. Like, I didn't like. No, I thought you were like maybe 33. That was my. I never asked people their age.
I thought you were a child, Sturdy.
Well, 33 is not a child, but it's not like I knew he was. So here's the other part. I knew he was old enough to know that it's interesting to work on cars, but young enough that he could still do everything he does a lot longer than I do. And like, so that felt a good, like, you know.
You can't lay down. You have an interview in like 2 hours.
That's time. You can take a nap, dude. Like an hour? Yeah. I do it all the time.
Oh, a nap at night? Are you kidding me? I can't do that.
I know. So Rollins talks about this though. Rollins takes 30-minute naps.
Yeah.
It's his thing. And he only sleeps like 3 hours a night. And I'm like,
guess what? You know what, Dan? You know why? Because he's Henry fucking Rollins. He's the only
way older than us. The dude's what, 63, 60, like something like that, like, or 60 this year. But that's what we measure ourselves against, right? Got it. You're so stressed. We're just busting your balls, man.
Busting your balls, man. Go hang out with the wife.
Go nap.
We love you, buddy. If you can. I don't even fuck. I'm high. I love it though.
I was gonna say, make gummies kicking in.
This is my favorite fucking thing, dude. I gotta tell you. This is my favorite.
Well, like to a certain extent, it's freewheeling, it's jazz, right? It's improvisation. I enjoy the broad range of topics that we get to talk about on Friday nights. Like to a certain extent, when you're doing another show, and even my own, right? Like I'm limited to here are these beers, here's this cocktail. I think that, or like Sturdy, for instance, like he's like, hey, here's this movie, and you have this lane, and you stay in that lane, and that's great. It's wonderful. I love this because it's like, okay, this is what's on my mind right now, and we're gonna talk about all of it, and whether we're using the wheel or whatever we're using, hell yeah.
Oh, I didn't pull it up, but I can.
Instead of when we have like Jason and Sturdy and stuff on, like when it's just you and I, it's gonna be like we're gonna talk about it for about 15 seconds, then we're gonna go back to
philosophizing about
whatever
something
we want to talk about anyway.
Yeah, fucking. Oh my god, did you watch the show or listen to the show this week?
I caught part of it. I tried it. So Miranda was gone this week. Well, gone for 3 days in Detroit, and
damn, you can just say no.
No, I don't like. I try to like up the views and throw. Even if I can't watch, I'll throw.
Oh, I know you do, dude. You never have to sell being a supportive friend to me. I'm on it, and you could do nothing for this entire year, and you've still done more for me than like most people. So,
I did. No, it wasn't this week. It was last week. I jumped on, and you guys were talking about Black Christmas. And I was like, Mick stealing my fucking thunder. You son of That's
it's so true though. Come on.
That was the question I threw in the Discord. That was like
me out. That was so true though.
Oh, and I felt like whoever it was that disagreed with me agreed such a great answer. And it's so weird because Discord is what it is. And it's so decontextualized that I hope she doesn't think I'm an asshole. You know, like she gave such a great answer about why she preferred Psycho. And then suddenly everybody jumped in on my side, and I was like, "Oh, don't pile on! Somebody defend the other side! Come on!" I almost jumped in and be like, "Well, Psycho is actually more influential because of X, Y, and Z." Because I didn't want her to feel like she was like standing on her own feet. Like, I mean, you know me, I'll take it. You give me two sides, and you'll be like, "I'm going to take this side." I'll be like, even if I don't agree, I'll take the other one. I don't care, whatever. But you know what was a high point for me? I was teaching speech in 2012. And part of what the curriculum for that is impromptu speeches, right? You remember those?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So impromptu speeches are like
you're teaching people to speak, or you were teaching people
speech, like you have to deliver speeches, public speaking.
Oh, okay.
So I'm teaching speech, and it's impromptu speeches. You have a hat with all these topics in. People have to go in the hallway. They have 5 minutes to prepare. They come in. They have to deliver a 5-minute speech on the topic, right? And the students are like, Mr. Gao, blah, blah, blah. Like, I bet you're not that good at it. You're just standing up there in the front of the room doing whatever. And I was like, okay, shout out a topic. I don't need 5 minutes. And first girl, and this is one of my favorite students ever. She was like, talk about tampons. And I was like, all right. And I just laid into this 5-minute speech about tampons. And I tried to cite every fucking tampon commercial I'd ever seen. And like, that to me, that's one of my proudest moments. For 5 minutes, I gave a coherent speech about something that I know absolutely fucking nothing about. I just cited everything I'd ever watched on TV about it. And like, that's what this show is like. I love doing this show because whatever topic comes up, I'm going to access whatever I know, and then I'm going to let you or whomever else is on the show kind of take the lead. And like, I love it because it's like, test you. Okay, let's fucking talk about anything.
To be my co-host forever, so if you want to show up every week, come on.
I did like. It's the one time where I get to like. One, talk about whatever comes up. Oh, I did, George. Oh my God. Like they talked about it at one of the kids mentioned it in their graduation speech 2 years later because this was sophomores.
I can only do this because Mr. Gao.
No, so their favorite thing to say was this, and this happened like 6 or 7 years in a row. The Valley Victoria would come up and they would be like, talk blah blah blah, and they'd be like, and Mr. Gowell, you know how he always tells us we need to have look, Freed, there we go, there's a former student. Mr. Gowell always says you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. How many times do you repeat that in class? Anybody else annoyed by that? Like, and they'd say stuff like that, and I just laughed my ass off because like that was it. Like, I didn't. My opening speech to freshmen is always like, you guys can be whomever you want. I'm here to grade you. You can go home, do whatever you want. It's none of my business. You come in, you have your homework, we're good. I'm here to teach you English and like help you prepare. And I don't care who you are as long as you have a plan. How are you going to succeed? And like, I felt like that resonated to a certain extent. I don't know.
Dude,
like
I feel like
that's
you're
different for
a pretty
everybody.
special teacher, dude.
I try.
But you're
No.
like I just the way you talk about it. Listen, I can always tell people's true callings, right? Just by the pitch in their voice, because I understand it. Because every time I talk about filmmaking or I talk about this, I have that excitement that is just wonderful. And every time you talk about teaching and the Lions and Michigan, those are the three things.
Right here, Michigan, really Lions, and teaching.
But the teaching is like the glimmer. That's the glimmer in the eye thing. So I know, man, you are right where you need to be because you know what you're doing.
I talk about movies. Like I sent you guys in the group chat that Mr. Fantastic clip today. My dream, if I were like wealthy, I would start my own school. I really would, and it would be capped at 30 students exactly. That's it. And I would only take like at 30 students exactly, and I would only take. You'd have to pass an interview with me, and I would teach every subject. Yep. And you'd have to pass an interview. That'd be it. And it would be one room.
What age?
High school only. It would be 9 through 12. But all of it, everybody is taught the same. I mean, that's the thing. I don't care what age you are. You're all doing the same work. Everybody's doing the same work.
This is how I know you're good at your job.
You couldn't, like, you struggled in freshman English. Come on.
This kid, I'm guessing he's a kid because we're old.
No. Freed's all grown. He went to the Marines.
No. But like, I when I say kid, like I think of myself at like 29 as a kid. You know,
but Freed's a good guy. No, he didn't like.
I can tell by the confidence he speaks in towards you. Like he wouldn't be here if you didn't.
But like 30 kids, one room. And we would do everything. You would have to be physically fit, mentally fit, psychologically fit, and we would work on all of it. Yeah, and like it would
frailty. Calm down there.
No. It's a complete education, and like it's a kind of thing where it's like, okay, we are going to be together. And I probably once I got those 30 students, I wouldn't take any more until people graduated. You know what I mean? And that would be my crew.
Just ballparking, what would be like the length for that would cover the high school experience?
4 years. It'd be 4 years, just like high school. And it would be the same. I mean, it would start. I wouldn't start at 8 because I don't think data shows it. I mean, you shouldn't start high school at 8. I mean, you shouldn't. You should start at 9. All data points to that. It would go 9 to 3. And the primary focus would be being a self-sustaining individual. That would be the goal. Like you have to be able to become somebody that can stand on their own 2 feet without the influence of your family, your friends, social media, or the world. And that the goal would be true individualism.
It's a fucking science experiment. That's what it is.
That would be my goal. Is like to study the past in order to prepare for the future.
Oh my god, Dan! This is going to be a movie one.
Nobody would. Oh my god! Do you think anybody would ever actually need the money to do this? No way. They'd be like
the most elite school.
That's what I want. Like I told, like, oh man, I had a parent complain one time. This is a true story. Parent complaint. First day, I said, I'm not here to teach anything other than exceptionalism. And exceptionalism looks different to everybody. Whatever you are, I want you to be the most exceptional version of yourself.
I fucking love you.
Like, And a parent complained. They were like, "What do you mean, my like?" And I was like, "Are you?" And I said this on the phone to the parent. Are you telling me you don't want your child to be the most exceptional version of who they are? You tell me that right now, and I will have a meeting with you and my principal right now. And they just sat there quiet on the other side, and I was like, "That's what I thought." I hung up the phone. And I'm not there. I said I'm looking at a crowd right now, and I want all of you to strive to be the next Bill Gates, the next Elon Musk, the next whatever it is. Like, I want you to be the next version of the best version of whatever it is.
You're like fucking Captain America, dude. You need to run for press.
Oh, and that would last 13 seconds. But
Can I be the cabinet in the media or whatever?
my goal, like really as a teacher, I'll say this, and I think it resonates as a principal to a certain extent, is for students to be individuals.
I love it. I do.
Just the but as a parent, like, okay, Mick, as a parent, I want you to comment on this. So if your child is in high school, have me as a teacher, and one of my pieces of advice to them is to say, find your own path and try to find the places where the things that you have grown up with have influenced you, and decide if you actually agree with them. As a parent, would you love that?
No.
Exactly. Right. Like like I found myself at odds with parents often. Like I wanted to create students who
I understand individualism.
Yep.
But I also am a living result of what good and very bad family can do to somebody, because I'm the good that came from the bad. And my meaning on that is family's influence. Like if there's a good influence there, I think it's very important to also have that exist. I believe being able to stand on your own 2 feet, getting out there, learning those things. But I do feel like a familial influence is important.
Controversial question, Mick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, and I know you're a good dad, just from like knowing you,
mm-hmm.
Do you think there are parents out there that think they're bad parents?
It's a great question. I think there are I think I don't know what to think, because if I did, I'd have the answers I was looking for.
That's a hard question for me, is like looking at parents, and you've seen bad parents. We all have. And looking at them and knowing they're bad parents, that was a contrast continuously, both as a principal and a teacher in my career. That was a contrast. Part of why I needed that year break, dude. I'm not lying. Like I felt so overwhelmed. I often wonder how often people take into consideration that they're not doing a great job. And every parent, I do believe every parent potentially is trying their best.
Can I throw in my 2 cents?
Dude, always, because this is the other part. Parents have asked me, what do I do? I'm like, why the fuck are you asking me? I don't have kids.
I constantly, almost every minute of every day, wonder if I'm doing it right.
I think that makes you a good parent.
But I also think that the bad parents do ask that question. But that's why we generally see them try to drown it out with something. And usually it's because the guilt, when they do hit, because they snap, because they don't want this or whatever reason, whatever's deep in their heads. I think when they do this, then it's them feeling guilty, and that's when the comeback comes. And it's like, you're okay, and like, because there's always some sort of like snap, like right after, and then it's neglect. So I think that's where it comes from. I think they know, they don't want to believe it, they drown it out the best they can. But I don't know how, because that shit fucks me up, man.
That was my question always, is like, I don't think parents ever think that they are bad at their jobs. And
I always do. I always do.
It's the parents that are like, man, I'm not doing a good enough job. Those are the ones that I think are good parents. And the ones that are like out there pounding the drum, I've had, so as a principal and a teacher, I've had parents who have ensured me that they're doing everything possible at home they can to support their student in school. And I know just from the student talking to me that it isn't the case. The number of students that would come to me in the closet, right? Like, what a 1990s issue, right? Talk about like not a 20 teens or anything like that issue, a 90s issue. They're in the closet. They're afraid to come out to their parents because of whatever reason. And the parents in conferences are like, I'm doing everything I can to support them. Why are their grades dropping? And I am never going to out a student.
Oh yeah, no.
Or I never would. Like that's not my job. Like I stay separate from that. And so a student is talking to me about X, Y, and Z, never going to tell their parents. Their parent, like I counsel them. I say you need to talk to your parents, but I would never tell the parents on the part of the student because, again, individualism, right?
Yeah.
And
no, I think that's a big no for anybody. Yeah, you
yep.
should never out
So,
anyone.
The parents talk to me, and like in the same vein, I know for a fact that if their kid came out to them, they would, it would be the end of the universe. And I always, I don't know. This is part of my struggle as an educator, my whole career, is like, do we do enough to ensure that the people who have children are doing the right things with their children?
No.
Well,
100%.
okay, so on the other end, and you know who I am, how is it enforceable? What a conundrum. And I don't have kids. So for me, my answer, to understand, 20-year-old me's answer to this was, okay, I'm going to remove myself from it, right? I'm not going to have kids. That was my answer. I was like, I'm not going to have kids. Then I don't have to have an answer to that question. It's a question I don't need answered. But as a parent, I have to I have to believe that that is a severe struggle for you.
I appreciate you even saying it. I don't know. Like I look at my kids, like my oldest is my stepson, right?
Yep.
I've been in his life since he's 2. He and his dad are tight, and and his stepmom over there, so it's all good. But he's just a great kid. I love him like he's my own. So like when I say my kids, like I know I share, but I do love him very much. And even when I'm looking at him, I'm like, how could somebody hurt you? Like I look at their faces and I'm just like, how could anyone hurt you? Not that anyone is hurting them, but I think about it from like my childhood and other people's that I know went through abuse. So it's like, how could you look at your kids' faces and you're like, how could anyone hurt you? Like it's so, and it's still that's something that just oof. It's insane.
And as a teacher, as somebody who truly believes that like independence and
that didn't come across like I hurt them, right? Because I never hit my kids. I would never.
I think that like I don't know. I wonder because part of it is that like I became a teacher in the cell phone age, right? 2008. That's basically the same time as cell phones really took off. And I would listen to parents talk to me about why their kid needed their cell phone in my class. That's a common conversation. And my stance was always like, aren't you okay with them standing on their own 2 feet? And like their answer was always no. They wanted to make sure, to the point where I often question whether was it the student that needed to have the cell phone or was it the parent that needed the student to have the cell phone. So I don't like, it's complex, Mick, man. I definitely don't. I don't know. I don't have to have answers for it because we don't have kids. But at the same time, I feel bad because modern age is requiring some weird questions of parents.
So, to be completely honest with everyone, and I can't believe I'm going to put this out there.
Put it
I've
out.
been suffering a lot lately, and dealing in therapy and stuff like that, trying to get over a lot of childhood trauma that I've had. So, like, talking about this thing is drumming up some stuff, and like, you get that knot in your chest. So, don't mind me. I may like kind of zone out at times.
I get it, man. Like I get it. Part of why I became a teacher was that same thing, Mick. So my answer instead of going to therapy was to become a professional who fixed some of the problems that I endured.
And I think that's fucking amazing, dude.
I'll tell you what, like, but is it any different? This is the important question. Is it any different than somebody like using alcohol to dull their pain in their life? Like I had a girlfriend. So what a weird connection. I had a girlfriend who accused me of this, and she was 100% true. This is 100% true. She was like, you know what syndrome you have? You have to be a savior of everybody. And she said, have you ever thought about saving the one person who needs to be saving? That's you. And this is that she's breaking up with me, and I was like, it's like, fuck you, dude. Like,
it hurts, don't it?
oh man. But I think that, like, what truth, right? And actually, I just had this very similar conversation 2 days ago about my staff. So I'm the assistant principal in my building. My principal and I are talking about this, and we said we have staff members who are left over from the previous administration who are not very good at their job. But the previous administration, because they didn't want to be honest, told them they were excellent at their job. I am not the kind of person that peels off other people's Band-Aids very fast. I peel them off very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
But if it were me, I would want the Band-Aid ripped off. Would you rather be the kind of person who the truth is ultimately revealed to very quickly or slowly?
No, I am. So here's where I lie. And I think that's why we get along. I am very big on integrity and very big on being trustworthy, telling the truth, and just being loyal and being, of good character. Why? I'm not saying I'm perfect. In fact, it's because I wasn't always perfect that I strive for this now. One of the biggest things is like, I realize I'm not fully like it, but like, I want to be on that level of like a Ted Lasso. Right. And here's why. And I see you getting ready to smirk.
Oh, dude, because I'm like the anti Ted Lasso.
I know, but that's
I think
why.
he's like toxically
that's
positive.
why. No, but I am telling you, I think you need somebody like that. And that's why I'm striving to be that, because you said it's not good. And I want to be that positivity and show you and everyone else and try and inspire. So you in fact inspired me.
Oh, so I had it. So I had this guy do a whole training for education, dressed up like the guy from Ted Lasso. And his viewpoint, and this is the thing, is like you get these people, especially in education, you guys probably get this in your professional career all the time, like, who are, everything is great no matter what, right?
Yeah.
I am not that guy. I like to examine and really.
You're Roy Kent.
I'm Roy Kent. This guy's a fucking cunt, huh? Like,
so like, Ted lifted Roy from down in the cynicism into at least a more optimistic pessimism.
My wife has done. If you had met me in my 20s when I was actually angry, if you had met me in my 20s, I was more Kentish than I am now. My wife changed my outlook a lot. She really, she made me more positive. I'm not gonna hesitate about that. But I can't bring myself to be the kind of person who ignores. I don't know. My problem, and I'm very limited in this, because I skipped over most of the series and just popped in when my wife was watching. My problem with him is that he seems to be the kind of person who sticks his head in the sand when problems are going on. That to a certain extent, like, and having a positive spin on everything is great, but you need balance. And what balances him out in that show to a certain extent are the other people that he surrounds himself with.
But
I am not a protagonist. I've never had protagonist syndrome.
No, go, wait. You gotta go back. You gotta go back real quick. I'm too high to go forward that fast.
Oh.
So that's the point, though. He is like that, and it isn't until the end when he realizes that everything that he backs down from, he needs to stop backing down from and go and be with his son. And then that's when he finds his true happiness. He has stopped backing down. He went exactly to what he wanted. But his positivity didn't inspire. And this is what drives me nuts, because it's what you do. So he inspired everybody to be the best versions of themselves. And that's all it did. It wasn't toxic. It just inspired them to be the best versions of themselves, which made them better people together. And that's what I want to do here. I want that community. I want to build better versions of all of ourselves. I want to show everyone out there we can do it.
The difference between me and Ted Lasso is, I think, the best way you build the best version of yourself
by killing snakes.
Conflict. You've never. So this is my quote, and I've stuck by it my whole life. Self-destruction is the only method of creation.
I disagree. I think it's the only one we've known for so long, but we can do it. You say this, if we can be the best versions of ourselves, then all conflict is not going to be push a button. It's going to be debate. It's going to be reason. If you're trying to be the best versions of yourselves at that table, that's what it's going to be. That's the Star Trek way. That's the bright future of Star Trek.
I love to use science to demonstrate a point. So what is the only way to move forward, Mick? In history, so scientifically, what is the only way to make an object move forward?
Force.
And to apply force, you have to leave something behind. Okay? And that's the key. You cannot move forward without leaving something behind. It's essential. Because movement, whether you're talking about social movement, psychological movement, or physical movement, is an impetus. It moves forward. So something to create that motion has to be left behind. And to leave something behind, it has to be cut out. And the only way to cut it off is through conflict. And so I like my life, and granted, I would never tell people to be like me. I mean, that's the other part about me, is like I will never, ever be like, it's a rule in our house, actually. I'm not allowed to use myself as an example. But I think about, like, so Dan Campbell did this whole speech. And I love Dan Campbell. Talk about bringing it full circle back to the beginning of the show, right? So Dan Campbell did this whole speech after their last really big loss against the Ravens. He had a pair of dirty pants. And he brought them out, and he's like, and they were folded up.
He shit himself?
No. They were just like full of dirt and stuff. And he holds them up, and they're folded. And he was like, look at these pants. Look how dirty these pants are. And this is after talking and he talks to them about, like, you let yourself down, basically. Like, you created, you had them, and then you let yourself down. And he said, you see these pants? These are just like us right now.
Does this look as cool as I think it does?
No.
I'm listening. I'm still listening. I just want.
No, it's okay. And so he rolls them out. And of course, when he rolls them out, dirt flies everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He said, see that? See that? We have to get the dirt out of us. If we don't get the dirt out of us, we'll never move forward.
I love
it. That's the thing. It's like, you have to face.
You know what? It reminds me of when to come together for them to come together, they had to put the belief sign back together. And that's why they all came back together. So it's very similar. You're
I think it's very
Lasso,
different.
dude. You're on your way. I'm going to inspire you to Ted
back.
Lasso.
It's different. They brought the past back to bring themselves together now. I want to cut the past off. I want the umbilical cord severed. I want it, and that's the thing is like I facing it and being like and granted, I mean, you know, I will say I will never tell people to look at things the same way I do, but like breaking your problems in front of you and leaving them behind is how I've always done everything. And that's at odds with Ted Lasso. I mean, that shows at odds with that. Like, it's I want Dan Campbell, not Ted Lasso. That's what I want.
You're gonna be Ted Lasso. You're gonna be Ted Lasso. You're gonna be Ted Lasso. You do everything like him anyway, and you're teaching and you're being a principal and you oh my god, dude, you live the fucking life. I have to accept you come on here every week and you're like, you know, I'm really a pessimistic guy, but you know, I really love and like you get into it and you're fucking shut up.
I like I'll say this, I am. So although I mean, like I'll say with Lions, I guess I have friends that I told them, I mean, you know this, I haven't missed a Lions game since 1990. And I've never left the wagon, you know. I won't. I've listened to them on the radio or watched them on TV. I won't leave the wagon. And now all these people are climbing on, and I don't want them. I don't want them on the wagon. I was here the whole time. It'll be me and my dead stepdad driving the wagon. Like, and that old guy that they had on the news who's had season tickets since 1957. God, do I wish that was me.
Dude.
But I don't know. I try not to be. I've been accused in my life of being overly romantic, and this is probably me, you know, self-correcting, Nick. I've been accused of being overly romantic, like looking at the romantic. Like, my pessimism is not the result of pessimism. My pessimism is the result of I'm overly romantic. I get disappointed because people don't live up to the standard that I set, and as a result, what comes off as pessimism is actually me being frustrated with a lack of exceptionalism or striving for exceptionalism on the part of others. So I like when I say pessimistic, what I really mean is this: I get pissed off because people don't want to strive to be the best version of themselves. That's what I think it actually means.
How are you friends with me?
You're that Mick. No, you're a great man. Like, so this is the other part: is individuals determine their success. It's not an extraneous factor. So whatever the best version of Mick is can't be decided by anybody else but Mick. And the best version of everybody is that way. Like, everybody's a data set of one. You can apply data and social standards to groups. You can't apply them to individuals. That's not how it works. That's not how data works. People can be a subset of data, but if you're talking about an individual, only they can decide what success is. And so, you're a great dad, and you try to speak out about mental health. You're a good husband. I've seen you, like, if Mary would not love you as much as she does if you weren't. I think that, like, a mark of a good person is if they're their own worst critic, and I know that about you. You're your own worst critic. How about that? And I know, like,
that's fucking profound.
I think that I'm my own worst critic. It doesn't make me a good person, but I'm my own worst critic because I want to be a good person. That's the other side. Is like, you would want to be the person who is most critical of you, because it shows a level of self-deprecation that's necessary for advancement. If somebody can't laugh at themselves, they are not self-aware.
Oh, I can definitely laugh.
And that's the thing, is like, I to me,
I think that's the funniest guy in the room.
I don't think Ted Lasso would be like, you should laugh at yourself. I don't think, and that's why I feel like I'm at odds with him, and I'm constantly like trying to defend that viewpoint. Is like, I don't think he would. I think that a person should laugh the hardest at themselves.
Actually, I disagree. I think Ted Lasso shows that you can laugh at yourself. In fact, he does in one episode where he makes fun of himself because, and it shows that he's on that level of he can, because it doesn't bother him. And it really doesn't. I love when it gets to that point. His biggest bother in that whole show is his wife, and not being around his son. And so through that travel, he never cares about Nate. That never bothered him, and it was nothing. Thank you, my love. And then all that shit. You're fucking Ted Lasso. That's the moral of this story. Yeah, how do we end this show tonight? You're Ted fucking Lasso, and you should run for president because you're smarter, Ted Lasso.
If I'm smart, I'd never run for president. That's how you know somebody ends up being president. That you can't be smart and run for president. Those are contrary to each other.
That's the fucked up part. Then who do we need in there?
Don't ask me.
Do you need like a idealistic idiot?
No, I didn't like. I don't think there's any such thing as a good president. I don't think that power comes with goodness. So the hard part is if you're looking for good people, you're never going to find them in politics.
Yeah.
As far as who should it be, man, what a question, right? Like
that hurts.
And this is the other part is why I'm so at odds with a lot of things. People have to make that individually and stop talking about it out loud. I don't think that politics should be a public issue. I think it should be a private one. You should treat it the same way you do your property. It's private. And like, my politics are out loud, but it's because I choose them to be, not because I feel that it needs to be. Nobody coerces my politics. My politics are punk rock. What are my politics? I am adjacent to power.
So can I ask you this? Because I do speak out politically here on these shows.
That's great. And you should, because you have a platform for it.
But I don't put out signs for anyone or who I'm voting for and things like that. It is pretty quiet. I don't talk about it. So would this be the right way to do it?
So here's my thing is like, again, individually, right? Everybody makes up their own destiny. So if somebody chooses to talk out loud and it's truly their choice, they're not talking out loud because people are coercing them. That's a wonderful thing. That's American politics. My issue is that like now you have people who are like, you are either part of my current viewpoint or you're at opposition with me. I may align with specific things with people, but because of my choices in terms of whom I vote for and the ideas I vote for, those same people I vote for will put me at odds with them. That's my problem. Is like, do not expect me to toe the line because of a title, because I won't. I am not a single issue voter. I'm not a single person voter. I'm a dynamic voter. I will vote for my interests. And to a certain extent, my interests align with very specific people. I will speak out about the viewpoints. You know this. Education is extremely important to me. Education tends to align with specific kinds of liberal values. But there are liberal values that I speak out against heavily. And there are viewpoints I have, like I am a gun owner. I truly believe in the First and Second Amendment. I also put the First Amendment way before the Second Amendment.
Yeah. It should be. How do you take a voice over?
So for me, when I talk about I own like 16 guns. And so my more liberal friends are like, how dare you? And I'm like, you're not coming for my gun. And they're like, I thought you were a Democrat. And I was like, do not try to label who I am. I don't prescribe to labels. I prescribe to my ideas. And that politically, Mick, that is unpopular with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to toe a line because somebody told me to. And that's my problem. It's like, to a certain extent, the people that are coerced, just keep your politics private. You don't have to be part of a group. Don't let somebody force you into an idea. If you are conservative and don't like the mainstream conservative viewpoint, then don't fucking vote for it. If you are a Democrat and you don't like the mainstream Democrat viewpoint, then don't fucking vote for it. Like, I hate this idea that somehow you are wasting your vote by not aligning yourself with party values. So my politics are punk rock. I'm adjacent with power. Right now, you see power in terms of a dichotomous system, too. And I won't do it. I won't play the game. And the people that do, I feel bad for because they are using you. If you're going out there and aligning yourself with a specific viewpoint because of one issue, don't do it because they don't care about you. And so the fact that you speak out about specific things is great. I mean, you know, I've disagreed with you on this very show before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's the thing is like, I think that the people that are afraid to like disagree with people, please surround myself with people I disagree with, please.
Yeah.
I don't want to be surrounded by people I agree with.
I'll invite anybody on the show I disagree with. Don't come at it from a place where of racism and stuff where you're on here screaming that or saying racist things. But like if you want to come on here and talk about things, fine, I'll debate you. But not in a mean way, like we're talking now.
Yep.
I don't have to hate you just because you voted differently.
That's where I think that people go so wrong. It's a pseudo-religious viewpoint in terms of something that was never meant to be religious in the first place.
I'm not mad at the people being riled up and everybody has these emotions. Everybody's been grouped. Everybody's this, that, and there. But, you know, what we need is mixture of everything. You know, we need, you know, that's.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Mick. Tim's playing the Dogman song right now in Cosme.
All right. We're going to wrap it up.
Can we pull it up?
Oh, I don't have the link. Hold
on. Like, can I share it?
Yeah, you should be able to. I'll just pop it up.
Hold on. Oh, I can. Okay, share screen. Window.
Here we go. There you go.
Look at that. Oh, if I unmute it, will it play the music?
I guess. I don't know. But it's not you. I don't know. There's a famous music.
Can you hear it?
I can't hear it.
Damn. It's just all these drawings from the Dogman, that's all.
Oh, Dogman.
Well, in New Jersey, you guys have it. What is it, the Mothman?
No, that's West Virginia.
Yeah, it's
the Jersey Devil, baby. On the Pine Mountain.
Have you ever gone looking for it?
What?
Have you ever gone looking for it?
Oh, have I?
That's awesome.
Oh, that's how young Nicholas back in the day became a ghost hunter. He started his trek in the early days of childhood hunting down in the Pine Barrens the Jersey Devil. There's so many fucked up stories about that. Oh yeah, I used to love doing that, and that's where I found my love of weird New Jersey and going to all the abandoned places and the mental hospitals and the haunted schools and the haunted houses. And it was, dude, it's fucking wild times. For sure.
I think we can wrap up the Outcasts, Mick at Night. Did we play the song even?
No, I didn't come up with a new one for the Outcast. I'm thinking like going.
Play the song. I want to hear the song.
Okay, let me grab it.
I mean, I can do it.
Mick at Night. It's such a delight. Hey, everybody, it's Mick at Night. Filmed live in front of a studio audience.
Well, live in front of a studio audience. I had fun, man.
Have fun with you, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Check out Betting Bros tomorrow. And,
1 p.m. 1 p.m. tomorrow, we'll tell you how to bet the NFC AFC championship games.
Yep. And the 4th episode of our Godzilla Trek, Hail to the King, baby. It will be out
tonight, though, midnight, Sturd-O-Vision.
Oh, Sturd-O-Vision's at midnight. He's talking to Richard Bergen, who's the director of Fang, and he's going to be reviewing it and talking to him about that. Check that out at midnight. And then tomorrow, Popcorn and Pints. You know I'm going to be there because we are doing Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home versus Solo, a Star Wars story. I wonder which one's going to win. So let's go. So make sure you check that out on Popcorn.
Solo should win.
All right, I'm not even. You got to come on that show. Then what are you doing? You come on Popcorn and Pints. We're not doing it here. I'm
like we'll see tomorrow night. What time would I have to go on?
At 9.
I think that'd be good.
They do.
Talk to Sturdy. I don't want to tread on his water. So
Sturdy, no. All right, I'll make sure you get the link. Don't worry. But anyway, guys, make sure you check out Popcorn and Pints, and then Sturd-O-Vision will be back again tomorrow, and they're doing MILFs versus Zombies. So go check them out.
MILFs versus Zombies.
Yep.
How do I get some of those MILFs?
I don't know. Watch that one too. Good night, everybody.
Go.
What?
I didn't pull you out.
Oh no, I thought you said something.
No, I just said go Lions. You can play it.
Go Lions. I forgot to
end the stream, dude.